Hey everyone, welcome. My name is Joseph Summer. I am the founder and CEO of Whitestone, and I am thrilled to be with you all today. Welcome. Happy Earth Day. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy day to be with us. I think it's extra special today to be with all of you on all days Earth Day. And if you were on the last webinar, you'll recall how we talked through RISE and how Whitestone has woven sustainability over the past year into the fabric of our business. The work our company has done has been incredibly fulfilling for me personally. And today, just reflecting on our journey over the last year, thinking a year ago, we didn't have any environmental commitments or we didn't have any certifications, and we really didn't take it all that seriously. But I'm so proud of what we as a company have done over the last year. I wanted to just quickly highlight some of our milestones to share with all of you. First and foremost, we created our environmental policy with quantitative and qualitative targets. This has been the kind of guiding force of all that we've done as it relates to our sustainability initiatives. And with that, we completed our first carbon footprint assessment with Acclimate, which is our software we use to measure our emissions. We had our emissions measured and we fully offset our 2023 and 2024 emissions through a methane gas capture with Bonneville Environmental Foundation. Our total emissions were 4,856 metric tons of carbon emissions. That means absolutely nothing to most of us. So kind of the equivalent of that is 80,000 trees, seedlings grown for 10 years, or 29 acres of U.S. forest preserved from conversion to cropland, or 245 garbage trucks of waste recycled instead of landfilled. This year, too, our entire CSR team traveled to Honduras to build an aqua tower, helping provide clean drinking water to 280 students. And while in Honduras, we toured the largest vertically integrated apparel manufacturer in Central America. If you buy apparel branded from Whitestone, there is a strong likelihood it has come from this factory. We launched home energy audits for our remote team members. A goal of ours is to have our entire workforce have a home energy audit by 2027. We rolled out a tiered supplier framework, which aims to prioritize our responsible partners, one of whom you will meet today. We officially joined 1% for the Planet, which I'm incredibly proud of. And the impact we're making in our communities has been seen and felt through the donations we've made. We have had our near-term climate targets validated by SBTI, Science-Backed Target Initiative, and in 6 months, we'll have our net zero targets validated. We became EcoVadis committed. We're going through our reassessment right now, and I'm hoping we will get certified either with bronze, silver, or gold. Anxiously awaiting the day we find out what that will be. And lastly, we launched our Circular Impact Initiative to help clients give old merch new life. If you have obsolete merch, old swag you don't know what to do with, this initiative aims to help keep those items from ever reaching a landfill by either recycling or donating those products. We believe it's our responsibility as much as it is to create awesome merch for you, but to also help you responsibly manage it if for whatever reason you purchased too much or you went through a rebrand, which many companies do. And we just recently helped a major credit card company incinerate 4,000 backpacks. It's been a busy year, and I can tell you a year ago today, we were really nowhere as a company. So um, it's extra special thinking about how far we've come in such a short time. So let's talk a little bit about understanding sustainability. And I just want to thank you all so much for being here today. Again, this is going to be extremely educational, and hopefully you'll leave with a much better understanding of sustainability in merch. And we're going to have time at the end for questions. We're going to have a few polls during the webinar throughout. So we look forward to hearing from you and engaging. And yeah, so let's quickly talk high level about how we view sustainability in merch. First, looking at environmental stewardship. There are 3,000 suppliers we engage with at Whitestone, and countless numbers of folks can sell you t-shirts, water bottles. But environmental stewardship is really about being intentional about reducing your environmental impact as a business. We believe that if you are truly sustainable, whether as a brand or as a buyer, you have to go deeper. And that means sourcing certified sustainable materials, choosing suppliers with energy efficient operations, partnering with companies that actively measure, reduce, and offset their emissions. We believe this isn't a nice to have. It's a responsibility. And you know, this year we've really woven sustainability into the fabric of our business and made this a responsibility. Social responsibility. It's believing that the people behind the products and the business matter. Social responsibility means working with partners who uphold either fair labor standards, ensuring safe working conditions, and support their local communities. I think it also means showing up internally for the people that work at your businesses, how you care for your teams, encourage volunteerism, and support causes that reflect your values. I think a great example of this is our recent initiative in Honduras, where we built an aqua tower with Planet Water and served community in need. Life cycle consciousness. Sustainability isn't just about what you make, but it's about how long it lasts. I think buyers have a responsibility when purchasing merchandise that they create merch people will actually use and want to keep. And we have a responsibility to design and create merch that upholds that. So it's our job to guide clients to select merchandise that's to be kept, used, or even regifted, not tossed away. And at the end of the day, if for whatever reason, there's too much, it's our responsibility to help manage that the merch ends up responsibly recycled or donated and not ever in a landfill. Transparency and accountability. There's a lot of greenwashing in this space and really in all our everyday lives. And you'll hear and learn a lot more about that today. And what matters is working with partners that prove their claims, that move to third-party certifications like EcoVadis or B Corp, obtain ISO certifications, or work to become climate neutral. Working with brands that publish and embrace accountability and stay honest about where they are and where they're going. And lastly, ethical governance. Strong sustainability requires strong systems, from having things like supplier codes of conduct to sustainable procurement policies, working with companies that really build a framework to hold themselves accountable. So yeah, this is kind of how we view and how we look at sustainability in merch as a whole. And this will be what we explore today. What makes a product truly sustainable? How does eco improve merch? We're going to look at some case studies. We're going to talk a little bit about eco materials and some innovation that is happening within the branded merchandise industry. RISE. I wanted to just quickly highlight RISE. If you're new here, RISE stands for Responsible Impact and Sustainable Excellence. This really is our commitment to weaving sustainability and social responsibility into the fabric of everything that we do. We launched Rise last fall, and for us, it's more than just a program; it's a mindset, and it's how we approach environmental impact, ethical sourcing, supplier partnerships, circularity, and community engagement. Through Rise, we measure our carbon, we elevate responsible suppliers, we invest in education, we push our clients and ourselves to think beyond the product. We believe this is where our values meet action, and it's how we're helping shape a more sustainable future in branded merchandise. So, today, paving the way to sustainability, I want to welcome my co host for today. And I quickly would like to talk a little bit about her business once I figure out how to move her on stage. Here she is. Um, and take her off mute. Oh, silly me, figuring out this platform here. I think I did it, but it is my honor, and I'm incredibly excited to be joined today by one of our tier one supplier partners. Please meet Brianna from St. Regis Group. St. Regis Group is a leader in the world of premium drinkware and decor, known for their cutting edge decoration techniques, award-winning product lines, and deep commitment to quality. But what truly sets them apart and why we're so proud to partner and work with them is their dedication to sustainability, innovation, and service. They've invested heavy in energy efficient manufacturing, sustainable material sourcing, and packaging reduction. And they're constantly evolving to meet the expectations of a modern and values driven brand. In a space where quality and impact matter, St. Regis consistently delivers not just beautiful products, but smarter, more sustainable solutions. So I'm thrilled to share this virtual stage with you, Bree, and to talk about how suppliers and distributors can work together to create merchandise that makes a difference. So, welcome.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited to be here today on such an important day, even though Earth Day is every day, but today gets really that recognition that Earth Day really should. And I'm really excited to be here.
So, let's dive in.
Okay, so I'm ready to go. First, I'll just introduce myself. So, I am from a supplier in the promo industry. I actually come from a compliance background and moved into sustainability about 5 years ago. I do a lot of work with nonprofits in my spare time with Canada's Building Decarbonization Alliance and also Toronto Home Retrofits and a few other local organizations, all with the goal of decarbonizing our buildings, our operations for residents, for building operators. So I get really jazzed about building science, but I am going to talk about a lot more in the promo industry as well. So first, sustainability and branded merch. Well, sustainability as a word, as a term, it means a lot of things. It can mean so many things. It's very much an umbrella term. If you're looking for guidance on areas of sustainability, some kind of like guiding light, I would check out the Sustainable Development Goals. But for the promo industry specifically, there are a few areas that we can really focus on to make the biggest impact. So I'm going to really focus on branded merch here today. From a product point of view, sustainability can mean, again, several things. It can mean a bunch of different things. We're going to talk about product materials first. We'll jump ahead. Next slide, please. So materials, the basics of product sustainability is the material. At St. Regis Group, or SRG is our new brand, we're really focusing on recycled content in all products. I'm not just talking about for our eco collection items, we're also switching over just some of our top sellers. If we have a top selling backpack or tote bag, changing that over to recycled polyester. It's really easy to do these days. It's price comparison, comparative. It's basically the same price now, very readily available from recycled polyester, recycled aluminum. So changing not just the eco items, but everything and incorporating it through our entire line. It also matters about cotton and bamboo and paper. All of these can be sourced responsibly, but without proper oversight, they can also come from really unethical or unsustainable sources. So that product material matters quite a bit. The next slide talks a little bit about end of life. So, end of life is very, very challenging for consumer products. The recycling infrastructure specifically was not built for hard goods. It was not built to recycle a tumbler or a t shirt. Recycling was originally built for newspapers, and then they added beverage, like single use beverageware and drinkware and packaging. So, kind of thin plastics or something that you can throw away or recycle very easily. So, it is hard to recycle a promo product. Not very many opportunities there, but many other things you can do at end of life, or we hope that there is an end of life if it can last a very long time. Packaging is more of a good target for end of life considerations. What is your product coming in, and can the packaging be recycled? That's kind of more the area that we focus in for end of life on promo products. The next slide talks about longevity. So, a promo product, it's not just about what the product is made of, but it's also like, will someone use it? Is it functional? Would you be proud to give it to a loved one or a family member? Um, is it something that you're proud to have your brand on? That functionality is just as important. Even if you're making some little trinket out of recycled polyester or recycled plastic, if it's going to end up in landfill in 24 hours, it's not so sustainable. The next slide talks about give back initiatives. So, give back initiatives are also really important. It's important to also note, too, if a product has a give back initiative alone, that doesn't make it sustainable. It's part of this holistic view of sustainable products in merch. Give back initiatives are a great, great way to give back to initiatives that matter to your stakeholders, to your employees. You can switch them up. So we have at SRG a give back collection, which just donates 1% from the products in that collection. But Whitestone, being the amazing company that they are, is a member of 1% for the planet, which is fantastic, where 1% of their total revenue is donated to environmental charities. So a lot of really great give back initiatives, specifically in the promo world. And then, equally as important as the last four slides combined, is how and where the product was made. Anyone can go out and source an eco product. Anyone can go out and buy a tote bag made from recycled content and sell it to the world. But where did that bag come from? How was it made? Was there harmful chemicals? Was there considerations for the employees? Was there fair trade? What was the factory like? Was there horrible, polluting, coal generated factory? Or did they have solar panels? Did they have all kinds of low carbon building initiatives in place? So these are the like intangible things that you can't see about the product, that working with someone like Whitestone or St. Regis, you really know you're looking upwards in the supply chain and not just the product itself, because where it came from is just as important as the product itself.
I think this slide is so underrated in so many ways, Bree, because I see so many products like a water bottle, for example, and a lot of times they'll market the water bottle as sustainable. But if it's not from a brand that has certifications, you really don't know what's going on behind the scenes at their manufacturing facility. So I just want to highlight, our tiered supplier framework right now, which really encourages Whitestone to be marketing suppliers that we know are supplier number two, that we know that are working in low carbon buildings, are working with safe chemicals. I think that it's so hard to see where a product is coming from, but that's why these certifications matter so much, because they're really vetting what goes on behind the scenes that we all can't see. So I just wanted to say that, because when I first learned about this, it really opened my eyes to quiet greenwashing that you just don't see a lot of. Um, and I think it's important to note.
Totally. Those expectations that Whitestone sets for suppliers, it has such an amazing ripple effect throughout the supply chain, like setting better expectations in the merch industry. So now let's talk about why. So sustainability is really a value add to your company, your organization, your brand. It's a value add. It is not a cost, but a value add when you take the triple bottom line approach. So that's how we operate at SRG. It's not just about the triple or the bottom line anymore. It's about people, planet, and profit. And there's actually tons of studies and research that says this is super valuable. Companies that are implementing the triple bottom line approach are actually elevating their profits and their revenue faster than companies and their competitors that are not. The brand value is the most important part here. So when we think of a promotional product, we can't forget the goal. The goal is to market the brand on that product. It's kind of like a commercial for your brand. So if you do a traditional promo product, and we have this little get you flashlight here, maybe it makes sense for electrician or something, but in most scenarios, it's ending up in a junk drawer. So what does that say about the brand on this product? It says, here's a product with my brand. There you go. But if you do something that's valuable to your stakeholders, something that has some sort of sustainable value, a positive impact, purpose-led branding, it really tells your stakeholders or whoever you're giving this promo product to that you care about their experience with your brand. And here is a carefully selected product that increases the value of our relationship. So sustainability is really in promo is elevating your brand value from a promotional product. Stakeholders value this is so important, and I do a lot of education about this for sales teams. Clients want to buy, and not even in promo, in business, in life, in our personal life. We want to buy and work with organizations that we know, like, and trust. Trust being the biggest factor. If there's a lack of trust, it's almost always going to be a deal breaker. And the great thing about sustainability and impact and values is that it helps build up that trust with your stakeholders. So when you build up impact, you're actually increasing the value in the relationship with your stakeholders. And sustainability is kind of that driving factor. If you leverage it and lean into it, it can really elevate your brand. So I have a few just kind of research here that backing up that claim. Consumers want to buy from brands that align with their values, especially newer, younger generations. Next slide. So the results indicate sustainability. This was a really great article if you want to check it out. Sustainability boosts reputation, enhances trust, that trust factor, so important, and reduces perceived consumer risk. All of those things only help revenue on your brand. And then 77% of consumers motivated to purchase from companies that are making the world a better place. It is kind of like you're selling that good feeling, that feel good feeling. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. Like, you can leverage that triple bottom line approach. And then here's a great article from Forbes. This had nothing to do with sustainability. It's just talking about consumer behavior shifts. Today's consumers, they want connection, experience, authenticity, social media, and sustainability can really elevate all of those things. And that's the beautiful part of collaborating in sustainability, innovation. It gives you that experience. It says, here's a product with a give back initiative with some sort of charity that aligns with your stakeholder. That gives them an experience, and it connects them with your brand, and it makes them like, trust, and know your brand. So that's kind of the value of sustainability in a promo world. So let's move on to some trends shaping the future of merchandise. The one thing I did mention this, distributors like Whitestone that are documenting their approach and have that RISE program and are setting those expectations, that is a great trend that is happening in this industry, and it is slowly happening. That has a beautiful ripple effect, setting expectations for the suppliers, for the factories offshore, for shipping, everyone to do better. So that's a trend that I don't have in the slides here, but something I'm really seeing is that documented approach to sustainability. And it would be even like great if end users and clients could kind of document their expectations in sustainable merch or when they're sourcing merch, because it only helps, like it makes my job easier when I can say, executive, this is what they want. So really kind of that documented approach to sustainability has been really valuable. So the future of merch too, a big move away from brand fill. So what is brand fill? It's branded merchandise that's destined for landfill in a very quick amount of time. So nobody really wants those, traditional trinkets and trash anymore. That the promo industry kind of had that reputation many years ago. Definitely getting away from that. Brand fill is something that people are actively avoiding. They want quality. They want their merch to represent their brand with quality products that people are going to use and not something that they're just going to throw away.
I love this point, Brianna, and I think something that resonates with me is sometimes buying less, rather than buying more at a lower price point, buying fewer at a higher price point of a brand name item or something that's really incredibly well designed. Um, I think that we have a responsibility to our clients to sell them items that people will actually want to use and keep. But also, I think that it's important for clients to all know that sometimes over ordering happens. Sometimes companies go through a rebrand. Sometimes things are misprinted. And so rather than items going to the landfill, there's responsible ways to ensure that they don't, either by donating their merchandise to nonprofits or responsibly recycling them with great partners. And this is where our Circular Impact Initiative comes in, helping our clients to ensure that their obsolete, outdated merchandise is not destined for a landfill, but is responsibly looked after.
Love that. And I love that Whitestone is really taking that into consideration with its clients as well. Okay, my case study. So I love talking about Tito's. I don't even like vodka. I actually love Tito's because of their branding and their story and their impact. So I use them often as a case study because it is so valuable to see the impact of brand value and sustainability in impact led branding. So I'll talk a little bit about Tito's and how they became the number one selling vodka in the USA. They're not the cheapest, but they are the number one selling. And that is all due to their impact branding. I mean, they have a quality product as well, but they have amazing merch that tells a story. They are very purpose led. Everything is very high quality that they give away. They actually have this store in Dallas. They don't sell any vodka, no drinks. It is literally just Tito's merch. And there's so many value. There's so much value to elevating their merch game because that's walking advertisements all over the place for their brand. And people know the brand, they like them because of the great work they're doing, and they trust them because of that great work. So they're checking all those boxes, which is actually elevating their revenue. This is a really great example. So I also do a lot of dog rescue. So my charity there that I'm a part of is Save Our Scruff. Tito's is one of our biggest sponsors. So every year at the Food and Wine Show, they have a booth where they donate 100% of proceeds to our dog rescue. They are by far the busiest booth, and there's plenty of other vodka drinks there. There's plenty of other mixed drinks, but by far Tito's is always the busiest because of that experience and connection. People are coming there because they want that cool merch. We're giving away jackets and tote bags, and yes, those are more expensive products, but they had less of them, not for everybody that came. So now you're even using supply and demand. If they don't have the budget for 500 pieces, but they do 100 pieces. Well, now they have that kind of supplies getting people there. People were so excited to come to their booth, and it's beautiful to see this like tangible and intangible value of just doing sustainable and purposeful led branding. So now I'll do a little bit about eco-friendly materials and processes. So let's kind of look at the nuts and bolts of an eco product. How does those materials, how are they sustainable? And what are the alternatives? Polyester, the easiest one kind of go to. There are actually two ways to recycle polyester. There's mechanical and chemical recycling of polyester. The majority is going to be mechanical recycling, where everything is sorted, they shred it down, they melt it, and rebuild it into a yarn. There's also chemical processes, which are, and I talk to them just because there's so much innovation happening in that space where they can start to recycle really hard to recycle plastics like PVC and polypropylene. So just know there's a lot of innovation happening in this space, and recycled polyester is very readily available now and very cost comparison. And then the benefits too. So there's two kinds of recycled content: is pre-consumer and post-consumer. Post-consumer means it went into some sort of recycling place, went back to be reprocessed, and then was made back. Pre-consumer recycled means that it was a cutoff at the factory, and they're reusing those cutoffs rather than putting them into the waste bin. All right, we got some little educational questions here. We're going to test our sustainability knowledge. So we have a little poll here. If you had a tote bag made from recycled water bottles, is that tote bag recyclable in curbside programs? I'm going to take a little vote. We got some, think about like the Jeopardy music in your head. Joe, how do I show the results? Ta-da.
It was 80% false. That's what
okay. Perfect. Okay, yeah, I can't see the results, so you just let me know.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So that's correct. Tote bags are not recyclable, and I see this a lot, and I think that people don't mean to be misleading. They just don't. They think that it's made from a recyclable plastic, that it makes it recyclable. But once it's into that tote bag, it's now a fabric and must be treated as a fabric. And then there was actually a class action very recently in Canada where a few companies were saying that their tote bags, their reusable tote bags that you can get for really cheap, were recyclable, but they were not. They are not recyclable. And they had some issues with greenwashing. Only certain types of plastic are recyclable. So true or false? Only certain types of plastic. Because when you say plastic, it's really an umbrella term. There's many, many, many different types of plastic.
Got 100% true here.
Good. Okay, everybody's freaking experts already.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's many, many types of plastic, and only a select few are recyclable. It depends on the form of that product as well. If you want to learn more about what is recyclable in your own county or jurisdiction, you can usually, there's usually like some sort of waste wizard, or they call them like waste robots online on your county website. So you can check out what is actually recyclable in your area. So now let's talk about some other sustainable material options. Here we have bamboo and wood, and I've tried to use these green stars to kind of show that good, better, best approach to materials as well, which can be very subjective, and it always is that it depends answer on what is more sustainable. If we look at bamboo, bamboo is a really great material just because it can grow so quickly. So it often has more stars or more sustainable features than a wood product just because bamboo can grow so quickly. But both wood and bamboo sequester carbon, meaning that they kind of like eat the carbon up and they store the carbon and they release oxygen. So the opposite of what human lungs do, bamboo, wood, trees, the ocean actually, they all eat carbon and release oxygen. So that kind of gives them a natural, sustainable future as well. Then we'll move on to paper. So the eco-friendliness, and I made that word up. I don't think that that's actually in the dictionary, but the eco-friendliness of paper very much depends on where it came from, how it was processed, is it bleached, how are the trees grown, where did the trees come from, is it coated paper? There's so many different processes and ways to recycle paper. So it very, very much depends on where it came from. Potential to be a really great sustainable material, especially in packaging. Paper-based packaging is generally very sustainable because it's recyclable, usually, depending on if it's layered or anything like that. But paper can be a very good sustainable option for packaging. So any forestry products, so bamboo, wood, paper, it very much depends on all of these factors. Where did it come from? So China, for example, they import about 50% of their wood from Russia. Does Russia have a lot of oversight of their forests? Are they avoiding deforestation? I don't know. We can't confirm. So it really depends on where that tree is coming from. Is it being replaced? So in Canada, we actually have very, very strict forestry regulations. So every tree that is cut down or used for mill, 3 trees have to be planted and take root in their place. So it very much depends on that country of origin, or if it's kind of has those certifications that we look for, like FSC. We want to make sure there's no chemicals, coating. So if we think of like wrapping paper that has that plastic coating in the paper, well, now it's not recyclable. So if it has a coated paper, it's not so sustainable. Oh, I think I gave away part of this question. What paper products here are actually recyclable? So we've got a shipping box with tape, glitter wrapping paper, a paper coffee cup, or cardboard bread bag tag. I wasn't sure if that was the right term, but you know, like you got a bread and it's got like the little tag thing that keeps it like fresh, like one of those things. So which paper products are actually recyclable here? And there's only one answer. Do 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 do. How's it looking, Joe? Joe, I see you talking in the backstage, but I can't hear you on stage.
Oh no. um, the answer was paper coffee cups and cardboard bread tags were what people were saying, but I don't think that's true.
Yeah, so a paper coffee cup, there is a lot of innovation happening because it really depends on the infrastructure in your area. So they're trying to start recycle paper coffee cups. The reason why they're not recyclable, there is a plastic lining on the inside of that paper cup. You can't see it, but it's the reason why you shouldn't microwave your paper cups because that degrades. That little plastic goes into your coffee. So it's not recyclable in the vast majority of places. Cardboard bread tag bag, that is not recyclable because it's so tiny. So when recyclables go to the recycling facility, it goes through a conveyor belt. Those bread tags are just going to fall right through. So the answer is actually a shipping box with tape. The tape gets sorted out when it goes through that recycling process. It's like a water-based process where the tape and everything floats to the bottom or the top, and then the paper stays in the middle. Okay, I'm going to whiz through because I realize I'm a little bit behind on time. So beware of greenwashing. So this is a really good example here of, I think maybe good intentions, I want to say. But the claims here all are pretty inaccurate. So it's not recyclable because you see there's that aluminum coating on the inside, paper on the outside. Can't be recycled because it's now 2 materials combined. It can't be sorted into paper or aluminum. The cap is definitely not recyclable because it is so small. And then the paper base does not indicate sustainability as well. So we got another question here. What generates the most plastic waste annually? Is it consumer products, textiles, construction, or packaging? The most waste annually.
I gave away the answer. My bad.
It's packaging. Guess what? Yeah, it's packaging. So surprisingly, when this has came out recently, people often think it's consumer products. It's actually packaging. Packaging is in and on everything. So there's a lot of EPR regulations that are regulating where packaging goes. Some of these are not even. Some of those regulations regulating packaging are not about the sustainability, but just on the municipalities and the counties not having the budget to deal with the amount of packaging in their garbage because it costs money to get rid of all of this stuff. So sometimes it just comes from a revenue point of view, costs a lot of money to get rid of packaging.
That visual is frightening when you think about
Yeah,
how tall the Burj Khalifa is and then what 1 year of waste looks like across all the different spectrums, apparel and vehicles. Woo!
yeah. I
Love it.
love when organizations make these visuals. It's like very helpful.
Yeah.
All right, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about some strategies that are happening within the promo industry from the supplier point of view, and I will use SRG as the example. But there's a lot of great suppliers doing great things in this industry. The core initiatives, I will just really high level go over what we're doing, decarbonizing, eco collection. So not just getting eco products, but using genuine sustainable products. And we also release a collection catalog, which is not just about the product, but it includes the who, the what, the why that product is sustainable, to be very transparent about its features, and then also a rating system. So now I'm going to talk about building decarbonization. I get really jazzed about this, and I know that building science and building decarbonization is not always like the sexiest thing in sustainability, but it is so wildly impactful and overlooked consistently. It is a great area where we can make great change on the fight against climate change just by improving our energy efficiency, reducing consumption, relying on renewables. Transportation and building operations globally have the almost equal the amount of carbon emissions generated annually. But a lot of people focus on transportation, which is very difficult to change at this point just because of infrastructure. Building science the technology is there now, ready to implement to make our buildings more energy efficient and sustainable. So I have a little cartoon here, kind of visualizing what are carbon emissions on the building level. So first, producing energy. Energy creates carbon emissions from carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide. A building consumes a lot of energy. That is just the reality of buildings. Whether it's your home, a 200,000 square foot manufacturing facility, it uses energy no matter what. So when that building consumes energy, they are responsible for the emissions from that energy source. Sustainable buildings, energy efficient buildings, they that are using renewable energy, that are using electricity for the heating and cooling of their building, that are reducing consumption, they can emit 80% less carbon emissions. This is very achievable on the building level. So these are a great way to reduce carbon emissions, and a lot of pressure should be put on this too for suppliers, for brands, for manufacturers that have those big buildings. A lot of pressure should be put on them to reduce those emissions because it is a great way to make tangible, real impact on climate change. I hope that made sense. I get really jazzed about building decarbonization, so I hope that made sense. So let's do a little test here. What produces the most greenhouse gas emissions in a commercial manufacturing facility? Is it compressed air, the server room from the electricity there? Is it the propane generator? Is it heating equipment? What do we think produces the most emissions? So maybe think of it as like the least sustainable. Yay, the answer. So hopefully people got that. It very much depends on where the facility is. For the majority, it's going to be actually a heating equipment. So a lot of people, I mean, if it's Google, it could be the server and data room. It's very much depending on that. Um, but for most manufacturing facilities, so promo manufacturing facilities, it's going to be the heating equipment, just heating our buildings. Even from your home, the most energy, what consumes the most energy and costs you the most money is heating your home or your building. If you're in Florida, it might be a little bit different. For the majority, heating is actually a really big carbon source. So now let's talk about some practical ways to integrate sustainability into your operations. And we'll talk about kind of the carbon footprint of a product as well here. So what product has the highest carbon footprint? We've got some pretty traditional bags here from recycled polyester. So what has the most carbon footprint? So any kind of product uses all kinds of things that emit carbon. Just go, oh, I think we jumped to the next question. There we go. So it kind of just lines them up here from least to most. So that traditional D here, the gray backpack, emits 2 kilograms of carbon per backpack. That's not terrible, but it is the highest compared to the rest of these. If you look at the cotton bag and C, so the ocean plastic backpacks, this ocean bound plastic recycled, relatively the same. And that's because the cotton has a very low carbon footprint because of the way this cotton bag is manufactured from sustainable sources. Cotton can have a really high carbon footprint. So that's where it came from matters so much. Next one here, this one surprised me a little bit too. Highest carbon footprint from these cutting boards here. So we've got bamboo, we've got a tree one here, and then a slate cutting board as well. You're on mute, Joe.
Yeah, I think I gave the answer away.
Yeah, we maybe just go to the, yeah. So really, really high carbon footprint on the slate cutting board. And when we did this practice and we did these, we worked with a third party to analyze 260 products and their carbon footprint. I was actually surprised by the slate, and that's just because of the process of accessing that rock, the slate, and making it. So it has a very high carbon footprint. If you compared it to a plastic cutting board, sure, the slate board has higher carbon footprint, but at end of life, if that plastic cutting board and the slate cutting board end up in landfill, this slate one is not emitting any kind of carbon or any kind of microplastics, which is a big consideration. So carbon, important note that carbon is not the only thing to consider when looking at a product. All right, now we're going to jump into some some things that you can do right now to improve sustainability as your brand and using it as brand value. So number one is just leveraging those stories and brand value of the sustainable feature. And that can be from the product, it can be from who you buy from, using Whitestone's resources on what they're doing in sustainability and sharing that with your end users, leveraging the storytelling and kind of, I don't want to say exploiting, but like leveraging, leaning into the sustainability story of the product and where it came from. The next one here, choosing products that are not just sustainable, that are functional and long lasting. No more trinkets and trash. Do things that people actually want. Do things that you're proud to represent your brand on. Things that people actually will use for a long time. Number 3 here, be thoughtful. So this is a big one too. Shipping, there's a lot of emissions from shipping, and at this point we can't avoid that. There's some carbon offsetting options, but actually reducing the emissions of shipping, the greatest way you can do that, think ahead. Make sure you can have enough time to choose ground shipping over air or ocean shipping over air, which will reduce the embodied carbon footprint of your product.
And isn't it true that air shipping is 10 times more impactful to the environment than harmful, I should say, to the environment than ground shipping? That's why.
Totally. It's just because of like the amount of energy to fly that plane up on the air. It just uses a lot of gas.
Yeah, I've seen our reports and it's wild. The pie chart, it's like the number of ground shipments is like 8 to 1 because we ship so much ground, but then the emissions from the air is just swings the pie chart the other way. It
Isn't that wild?
it is. Yeah.
Okay. And then number 4 here, when we jump ahead. Number 4 is just making sustainability the norm. We see this a lot actually in the retail space. A lot of products, apparel, bags, they're all made from recycled content. It's just that they're not blasting that in your face. It's the norm in a lot of these brands that they're always using recycled polyester. So make it the norm, make it a requirement when selecting merch or a preferred. Maybe it's not always available in some food contact areas, but making it a preference in when you're sourcing in sustainable merch. Number 5 here. Oh, we skipped number 5. We could skip ahead. Okay. Oh no, this is a good one. Number 5 is working with partners that are doing the real work, that are not greenwashing, that are putting in the effort, that are investing in their sustainable initiatives and purpose-led branding. Whitestone is the perfect example. St. Regis, SRG were the perfect example. You know, I got to call us out. We're all doing really, really great work. We're not the only ones. There's great things happening in the promo industry. Working with partners that will actually help you elevate your brand value, not just trying to sell you the cheapest crap that you can give away at a trade show. And then sustainable tip. This is so, so, so important. Don't let perfection get in the way of the good. We don't need to be perfect on everything that we're doing. It's just about making an effort. If we all made a small difference, it would be a massive difference in the entire world. So perfection is truly not the answer. It's all about effort and progress. We should all just like get this tattooed on us. Don't let perfection get in the way of the good.
I think that's a great lesson that we should all take in our own lives. And I think about
Totally.
that in business, just being a little bit better each and every day, brick by brick. Um, and certainly it's a lesson that we talk about with our design team or with our sales team, not to let perfect be the enemy of good. And I think
Absolutely.
that's sustainability. It's a journey. It is not a game of perfect. It is about recognizing where you're at and making mindful decisions each and every day to be a little bit better and be a little bit more conscious about what you're buying. Um, Brianna, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing so much of your knowledge and wisdom with our audience. It's been awesome to work with you and partner with you, and I'm so grateful to have partners like you in St. Regis as an ally of ours and someone that we can talk shop with, learn from, inspire with, and I'm just grateful for you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And looking ahead, Whitestone is super jazzed to share our first ever impact report. This will be live next week. It will share everything that we've been working on, what we've been up to, and it's a real milestone for our company and one that has been a real labor of love to get to. We also, this year, we're doing 4 webinars. This was our second. We have 2 more, one third quarter and one fourth quarter. The one third quarter will be with Sanmar, the company that we toured their vertically integrated manufacturing facility with in Honduras, Threads of Change, where we'll explore what it means to actually create sustainable apparel. And then shortly after PPAI is our industry association, right after the Product Impact Summit, we will meet with and have a conversation with Elizabeth Winbush, the Director of Sustainability with the association, where we're going to just have an open and honest conversation about where the industry is and where branded merchandise as a whole is with sustainability. So please join us for those two webinars. And if you have any questions, there's a little Q&A bar over on the right-hand side. We would love to hear from you. And I think one question I have, Brianna, what could we do as an industry to eliminate greenwashing? Like, what, when you see greenwashing, like what maybe as an individual or as an end user, what could we do to eliminate greenwashing in our own lives? Like, what comes to mind for you?
I think there's really two things. First is like education, so being educated on what is greenwashing and how to spot it. And two is like advocating and setting expectations. So end users, distributors, suppliers, factories, all of us setting expectations on what is a sustainable product to us, and making sure that they're backing up every claim that they're talking about. So backing up those claims, if it's made from recycled content, plenty of certifications to prove that. Always asking those detailed questions. So prove your claims.
Sweet. Looks like one question is, what materials are the most impactful to avoid?
I'd say PVC. So there's a big movement actually, to avoid PVC, not just in products or in packaging and products. So California, always the leader, will be eliminating PVC in packaging. And then we've set a target to reduce 50% PVC in bags, because PVC is often used as a backing in backpacks. PVC is a terrible, terrible, terrible material, super, super harmful for the environment, for people that work with it as well. So I'd say avoid PVC at all costs.
And what are some PVC products, like inflatable pool floats, um, luggage tags? Like, what are some other like traditional PVC products that you can think of?
Oftentimes it's in textiles, so in bags, and it might not always be obvious. On polyester, there's always a backing that makes it a little bit more rigid. And they often use PVC because it's cheap, easy, and very durable, but it's very, very harmful. So making sure when we're sourcing bags, what is it backed with? What is this polyester made with? So that's a really common one. Yeah, all the inflatables, anything that's a clear plastic, like clear flexible, can be made from PVC, but just know there actually are great alternatives to PVC in clear plastic.
Hmm, fascinating.
I see a
Uh,
question, is vegan leather PVC? Yeah. So sometimes it can be, but usually vegan leather is polyurethane. I would say like 9 out of 10 times it's going to be polyurethane, that has been rebranded as vegan leather.
is that a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
It's a thumbs middle. So it can be. There are actually, when I think vegan leather, I'm thinking plant-based leathers. So I'm thinking like cactus leather and fruit, cut off leathers. Polyurethane is still a plastic. It's just a plastic leather rather than a cow-based leather, a skin-based leather.
Cool. Yeah, sometimes I often think that, in our daily lives, it's so hard to avoid all these materials. So the longevity of an item really matters. Like, if you have
Yeah.
to buy it, or for whatever reason you're so drawn to it, just make sure that you put it to good use. That you're not just
Mhm.
buying it, using it for 15 minutes, and then never working with that item again, either
Yeah.
personally or professionally. Um,
Yeah, we have like I originally wanted to just eliminate PVC completely from St. Regis, but then we realized that some of it is just it's there's not an alternative, so that's why it's the 50%, and then that will eventually become 100%. But that is a voluntary target. There's no regulatory pressure on products with PVC at this point.
are there certifications or standards I should look for when sourcing? That's a great question.
It is a great question, and there's plenty of them. Um, I'd say from a product point of view, GRS, which is the Global Recycled Standard, RCS, FSC. Can you think of any, Joe? Am I missing? There's so many that are available from FSC to
Fair trade,
SFI.
fair trade,
Yeah,
fair
fair
labor.
trade.
Um,
Mhm.
it's a business because we don't manufacture any products. I think about certifications like um, B Corp,
Yeah,
EcoVadis. 1% for the planet, that are more company-wide certifications. So equally as important as the product itself. So a lot of different ways you could think about certifications. But yeah, that's a great question.
Great question. Maybe that's a great way we can kind of set those expectations of eliminating greenwashing, is saying like these are the certifications we expect on these products.
Totally. Well, thank you all for engaging and for spending part of your Earth Day with us. I wanted to end with some QR codes for you guys to scan to connect with myself and Bree. And I just want to, just kind of end with what your last slide was, Bree. That sustainability is a journey. It's certainly not a game of perfect. And together, let's rise towards a more sustainable future. Thank
Love
you all.
that. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you all for being here today. And thank you, Bree.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out or connect with me.
Bye, everyone. See ya.